Hello, hello, hello. Laura Brandenburg here from Bridging the Gap, and I am super excited to be here in the group today. So I always like to tell, when I remember to think of one, a quick story before I jump in, just so that anybody who's planning to join live has time to see things come up in Facebook. So you might notice my background's a little different than it's been. We actually just relocated from Michigan to North Carolina. We do this throughout the year, or we leave North Carolina for the summer and go to Michigan and then come back for the fall. And I have the opportunity, because we move a few things out of our house while it's rented, to like reconfigure my entire office. And one of the things I realized while I was in Michigan was that it was so easy for me to do videos from Michigan because I had a great backdrop. Now, this isn't the best backdrop, but it's a lot better than the backdrop I had before, which was just over on that other wall over there. And so I actually had them set my office up in a completely different way so that it would be easier to do videos and easier to do video conferencing. And it's something that we're trying to bring into our business inside Bridging the Gap as well. More video conferencing, more connection, and I'm trying to do more video in general. So the two takeaways there I have for you are, one, where can you bring that kind of connection into your online experience, especially if you work virtually? And two, where's the friction? Because one of the pieces of friction for me before in recording videos was that, like, I had this backdrop and I had to get everything perfect and I had to clear things off my desk or change things behind me. And so it slowed down the process. And there's times where I maybe had 10 minutes to do a video, but didn't do it because of that. And so this new setup will allow me to just pop in a little bit more easily, and I'm really excited about that. So where can you reduce friction to achieve a goal so that there's not that sticking point for you? And my ultimate goal, which has not been implemented yet, but is to actually have this wall behind me painted so that it's a much prettier color, and when I do these videos, it looks nicer behind me too. But incremental steps, so 3 takeaways actually from that story, right? Incremental steps, forward progress, action creates momentum. Much more inspired to get that wall painted now than I would have been if I was still sitting on the other side of the room. So, few things for you. Now, if you're joining me live, I see a couple of people have joined. Welcome, welcome. Please say hello. Let me know where you're listening in from. And if you have any questions. So I just picked a couple of questions that came up in the group today. I'm going to answer those, and I'm happy to answer any questions that come in while I'm live as well. So, for those of you listening to the replay, go ahead and put your questions below and tag me, and I will do my best to answer them via text after, or probably a future live stream, because I'm going to be going live here in the group over the next few weeks. So Ant asked about getting a better response rate from their resume. So mentioned that he has a 80% response or 80% non-response rate. So first of all, one of my big teachings, one of my big life concepts, life awareness, is focus on what you want, not what you don't want. So yes, you have an 80% non-response rate. You actually have a 20% response rate, right? So 20% of the people that you contact get back to you. That means if you send out 5 resumes, you're going to hear back from 1 person using the practices you're applying today. It's actually not that bad of a response rate. And it really depends, how good or how much you should hear back from your resume depends on what kind, how wide are you casting your net. So if you're meticulously researching jobs and customizing a resume and kind of figuring out how to match up what you're offering to what a potential employer is offering, and tweaking things and applying only to jobs for which you're really well qualified, then that might be okay, not great, and there might be room for some improvement. If you're casting a super wide net and you're on an online job board and you're clicking apply, just hoping that one of those turns up, 20% is actually phenomenal. So it's there's no right or wrong way necessarily, but realize that the actions you take and the types of jobs you apply to will shift what your response rate will be. So some of the things that you could do to improve that, they could be narrowing your net. So making sure you're focusing on the jobs that you have the best match for, the best skill match for. Or saying, I want to cast a really wide net, and I'd actually love to have a 10% response rate, because I'm going to double how many jobs I apply for. So instead of 5 a week, it's going to be 10. And if I only hear back from one, maybe that one was in the 5 that I wouldn't have applied for if I only applied for 5, right? And so I'm going to just take that number. And so part of that, what I'm trying to get to there, is take the feeling of failure out of that number, right? So you don't want to always be worried about what that number is and worried about those failures. Focus on the opportunities you do hear from, and then work on doing more of that. So that would be my other piece of advice for you. For those 20% you're hearing from today, what was the skill match? Why did they contact you? What connection maybe did you have with them? And look to do more of that. So finding more opportunities like that to apply to. Whatever you did, those actions are the actions that are working, so repeat them and see how you can expand them. And some of the other ways to, beyond just apply, how you actually apply for the jobs, are following up with people, making personal connections. So not just focusing on how many jobs can I apply to and kind of keeping that a very abstract process, like almost automated process, but really be more active and proactive in your job search. So adding connection and networking, that was the word I was looking for, like networking to that, reaching out to individual people, showing up at networking meetings locally, talking to people about your opportunities. When people get to know you and see you and talk to you, often that's where a lot of the juicy opportunities come from. So make sure you're adding that to your job search as well. And again, you only need one opportunity. So 20% can be a great focus on how. The other thing I would say is focus on how do you make those 20% convert to an actual job offer, because that's what you really want, right? So from those 20% that you're hearing back from, now what do you need to do in the interview to make sure you're showing up with confidence, you're presenting those skills, you're researching that company, you're really showing up as your best self so that you get the job offer that you want. All right, great question, Anne. Thank you for putting that in. Now I'm having trouble reading my own writing. I don't think it's Devar. I think it's Dirar. And I apologize because I wrote it down and I kind of scribbled it. So I could be butchering your pronunciation and also just the spelling because of my own writing. So this person was looking for the demand for business analysis internationally, like in particularly the Middle East. I don't have like an insider view into every local area or every geography. What I can tell you is that the demand for business analysis is growing internationally. We keep seeing new conferences pop up. We keep seeing IIBA chapters created in new areas. We keep seeing training kind of extending to new areas. We also keep seeing business analysis roles in jobs that don't have the title of business analysis. So that's what I would recommend to you for whatever local area you're in or you're interested in moving to. Like, do the research in that area. Look at what jobs are posted online. What are those opportunities? What jobs titles might be used doing business analysis without the business analysis title, right? Where can you find the opportunities? What do those look like? Are they in consulting firms? Are they in the bigger corporations? Are they in small companies? Like, what is the corporate landscape for that local area? What are the companies that hire business analysts, and how do you, how does that fit for you? What's the demand in that area? Because it's a little bit different in every area. But as a global scale, the demand is definitely rising. And as change keeps creating, like we keep seeing more and more change, more and more transformation, that companies cannot survive just doing the same old thing that they've always done. And when they are implementing change, they need business analysts. They might not know they need business analysts, but they know they need somebody to help them change, and that's what you can help them with. So look for those companies that are growing, that are changing, that are evolving with the times, and see who is doing the business analysis in those companies, even if it's not a titled business analyst. So that's my advice on that question. And I see a few people have joined live, and somebody's loved the post. Thank you. I always love seeing the hearts. Feel free. Oh, answers are static while I'm talking. Sorry about that. Let me know if it gets a little better. I'll kind of hold this out here. That could just be internet connection. So I will research what's going on. I'm not hearing that on my end, and try to get it better for next time. So hopefully you can understand what I'm saying still, but feel free to post a question if you have one and if you're joining live. The final question I have from the group, oh, that's better. Okay, must have been rubbing up against my necklace. Sorry about that. Okay, so Christina asked, will clients hire me without qualifications? So my short answer, which was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I always feel like yes, right? Like people will hire you as a business analyst, but qualifications, I wanted to kind of come back to this one because it's like I didn't clarify what did Christina mean by qualifications. My assumption was that she meant something like a certification or a specific degree or something like that. And we see business analysts succeed and get into roles all the time without specific credentials, right? But the qualifications that people really hire for are skills and experience. So do you have experience? And what Christina had posted for more context there was that in her role as a virtual assistant, she had helped her organizations, helped her clients achieve change and do more than the administrative side in her task. Like, so she had a track record of helping her clients achieve these kinds of changes and using her business analysis skills that likely she developed on the fly, on the job, to achieve those objectives. So your clients will hire you on the basis of those qualifications, right? On the basis that you have helped somebody like them achieve a certain result that they also want. So yes, Christina, how can you increase that though? You can often, it's more about expanding your skill set and expanding your experience that expands your confidence, right? So that you might be like, well, helping small businesses as a virtual assistant and create some change, like that's a starting point, but I really want to go in and do this in a big corporate environment, or I want to work with bigger businesses, maybe instead of a single client as a VA, like a company like mine, we have like about 10 people in our organization, all part-time, but we have quite a few people in our organization now, right? So what at that next level, like I feel not is confident in my ability to generate results, even though I've done it for these other very similar clients. So when we're trying to up level like that or get to the next level, that's where it makes sense to invest in some sort of a training to really get grounded in what those skills are and to continue building that experience and incrementally improving and expanding our experience as well. So it doesn't mean you don't need to invest in yourself or to get to that next step, but it does mean that there can be opportunities for you. You don't have to wait for that credential or a specific qualification, or definitely not like feel like you need to put your whole career on hold for 2 years and go get an MBA and then come back and try to restart your VA company. You actually should be starting with right where you're at. You've got clients and moving from there. So those are the questions I have. If you had something else you wanted me to answer, feel free to pop it in the question box. I will just say while I'm waiting for that, we are getting ready to open up our free training series. We do this just twice a year as we get ready to open registration for the Business Analyst Blueprint. And it's really well-received training. There's lots of downloads and extra information and extra resources that come along with it. And we will be opening the doors to that on Monday. If you're on our email list, you'll get an email. If you're in the group, we're going to post it here. And as we go through that free training series, I'm going to be here in the group answering your questions about that training. So if you we're going to release 3 parts of it. So there'll be a part next Monday, and then there'll be a part on Thursday, and then we'll release another part the following Tuesday. And the day after we release each of those parts, I will be here in the group answering your questions. So if you want to get the most advantage of that free training, make sure to make the time to go through it as soon as you can, and there'll be links in the group and graphics in the group where you can post your questions that I'll be answering in a live stream just like this one. This was just a little taste. I definitely want to answer all the questions that come in and do my best to support you. in taking this next step in your career. And so this is something that we only have the energy and investment and time to do like a couple times a year. So definitely take advantage of it. Throughout the year, I go live like once in a while here and there. But when we're getting ready to open the blueprint, I really try to do some extra coaching and offer extra value to the community. So that's what's coming. There's going to be a lot coming in the group, a lot coming through the free training, and I look forward to supporting you in whatever way I can to help you take the next step in your business analyst career. So again, Laura Brandenburg here from Bridging the Gap, and we build our profession one business analyst at a time. Success starts with you. So thank you for being here, and we will be in touch soon. I will be live in the group next Tuesday. Ant says, oh, you missed this first 7 minutes. Did you cover? Yes, please go back, check the replay. I talked about that oh, no, I talked about your question in depth. I did not talk about how to cover. Great question. So how do I handle the follow-up with companies and recruiters to not be annoying? Just let them know when you are talking to them, I'm going to follow up at this point. So, I mean, worry less about being annoying and more about being informed. So, you know, once you hear a no or you get a clear answer one way or the other, that's a great time to stop, right? But it's your job search. It's your next step, right? If there's still an opening there, it's worth them connecting with you. So I would say a couple times a week, right? Or once a week if you're really uncomfortable with a couple times a week. But if it's still open, and I wouldn't follow up if they said, we'll know more information on this date, then follow up on that date if you haven't heard from them, right? So let that, you know, be your guide. But this is like, how do I say that? It's what we do as business analysts too. So that's the other thing I want to emphasize here. Like sometimes as business analysts, we do feel annoying because we have questions that we need to have answered. And if we don't get those questions answered, then the project falls off track. This is one of the things we're going to be talking about in the free training, is how to figure out what questions to ask using business process analysis, because it's so important to be asking those questions and getting the answers we need. So you think of it in that light. Like if I was a business analyst and this was holding my project up, what would I do? And just look for ways to be creative and gentle and conversational and friendly about it, right? You never want to be upset or mean or like judgmental about it, but do definitely follow up as much as it makes sense in that conversation. And part of what you're looking for there too is like you want to read the situation a little bit, and that's part of what we do as business analysts. Like, is this really a question that can wait? Is this a stakeholder who doesn't know the answer and they're just trying to push you off? Is there a political reason they don't want to answer? And sometimes we have to drill into that and read between the lines. So use those skills in your job search as well. Okay, that's what I've got. Great question. You're welcome, and we will see you again. I will be live here in the group on Tuesday to answer your questions on part 1 of the free training that we'll release to you on Monday. So in between now and then, I'm going to Toronto. I've got a great professional event scheduled for myself to fill up my own cup and get ready for this this big launch, and learn some new things that will help me help you better as well. So I'll talk to you soon, and have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.